I'll get them in, ma'am.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Progress.
Hi.
Hi.
Good evening, everyone. Is my voice?
Hi. Can you see us?
Hi. Yes. So
Hi. So this is Elena, and I'm
Hi.
a mother.
Yes, perfect. I actually know Sri, Navya, and Alina now, but I'm not seeing Navya. I don't know any of the mothers. I know the children because I read their forms, and they have such interesting answers and such interesting perspectives on different aspects of life. Is Navya joining us?
I think so.
Hi, this is Sandeep. I'm Shree's father.
Okay, hi. That's
Hi.
nice. Thank you, Sandeep. I always acknowledge fathers when they join for something as simple as this, because this is always inevitably becoming the mother's role, and that's not fair because I think husbands and fathers also contribute a large chunk. So thank you. There's one more child, right? Navya. Is she joining?
Let me call her.
Okay, perfect. And then we'll do our round of introductions and everything. So I was actually reading the forms again. What I've done is I've taken out little interesting aspects of what I liked the most of the children's answer. So Sri, I just went through yours. I was going through Navya's and Alina's as well. So yeah, it's going to be fun. Here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to just quickly run you through what is known as a profile building workshop or a profile building program. And why is it important? How is it done? What do we do? What are we bringing to you? And then I'd like to talk a little about every child, a small little snapshot, if you may, of what could a profile building program look like for that particular child. And then we can be absolutely open to any kind of question and answers. Does that sound okay? Okay, thank you, Sri. I can see you saying yes. I think both my children nodded their heads. Both their moms were like, let us think about it. While we are waiting for Navya, maybe we can start our introductions. So, Sri, would you like to introduce me to your parents, please? You can tell me their names, their passions, their professions.
Okay. So this is my mom. Her name is Priya.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Priyanka.
She is a retired psychiatrist.
Retired? Ouch.
I don't know what you say. Like she doesn't work.
I've not been working.
Yeah, I think Shri, you can just say that my parents, these are the names, and they both are retired.
They are. No, my dad's
also retired.
No, my dad's not. I
Poor
He's got a
thing.
part-time. He's got
Okay,
a part-time.
sorry, Sri. Sorry. We're a small group, so we are going to try and make this more fun than serious. I get very bored when it's serious. So I'm just removing my serious face and keeping the funny face. But okay, so your mom's a retired psychiatrist. Thank God she's not analyzing me anymore then. And what about your dad?
Well, I can tell you,
Oh, I don't. I'd like to know from her. Let her give her a shot, and then I'll ask you as well, Sandeep.
why not I tell and then she can add to it. So the reason we
Let her
thought,
tell.
The children are more important today.
we love it when you say that you want little fun and not serious. So actually I represent Bollywood, and so you have something more creative guy amongst in this crowd. Shri, you can introduce me.
Oh my God, you should have told me. At least I would have actually made some efforts on looking better then, yeah? Maybe mere bhi chance aa jata.
Oh dear.
Well, we
No,
can do
he's
that.
not. He's not.
He does something with numbers, right? That's
He's like he does stuff in the bank and stuff like that.
Okay.
I don't know
Obviously-
exactly what it was, but
Obviously, it's not very exciting for you.
It's
You don't
not.
seem, yeah, you're like, he does the boring job.
Got nothing to do with Bollywood. Just
Sad. That would have been fun though. So perfect. Thank you, Sri. I kind of know that your dad does boring numbers and your mom's a retired psychiatrist. Got it. Alina, I'd love to know about your parents now.
So this is my mom. Her name is Gayatri.
Hi, Gayatri.
Hi. She works as a trader in a bank, and her passion has a lot to do with bullying me into swimming.
Oh, okay.
Not bullying, but like pushing me forward.
I get it. Motivating you is the lovely word we can use.
Yeah.
Since you have a writing spirit somewhere dug deep in you, let's just call it motivation.
Okay.
And what about your dad? I know he's not present here, but that's fine.
Yeah. He's an investor. His name is Vishesh.
Okay, got it. So we have Priya and Sandeep. I'm going to have to write that because I will not remember otherwise. And we have Gayatri and Vishesh. And we're still waiting on number 3. You want me to start or do you want me to wait? You
Navya joined.
Sorry?
She's joined like right now.
She has? Ninad?
No, Navya.
Yeah.
No, I'm actually looking for Ninad. Where is he?
Yes, ma'am.
Because he...
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Navya has joined now.
Can you bring them in, please?
Yes, ma'am. I've already accepted. They're the last window, actually.
Oh, they are here already? Why can
Yes,
I
ma'am.
not see them? Okay, got it. Hey, Navya, how are you?
I'm good.
So what we discussed was that the people who come late actually have to treat everyone for coffee. So will you just make sure you Swiggy it to all of us? We'll keep the meeting on wait till the coffee comes. Don't worry, I'm just kidding. But Navya, what we were doing is we were getting all you young girls to introduce your parents. You've obviously missed out on a lot of fun. But that's fine. It was just Bollywood and numbers. So let's actually Bollywood and banks. So why don't you take a go on what your parents do, their passion, their profession, and their names, please.
Okay, so my mom's name is Namrata. She's an architect. And my dad's name is Hitesh, and he's like a plastics engineer.
Wow. Okay. That was one of the best introductions, by the way, because we've got a retired psychiatrist, a Bollywood banker, and an investor. So, this one's interesting. Nice. Thank you so much. And Namrata, you're the one who reached out to me?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So first and foremost, I'd like to thank you, ladies, because one of the few things that I have seen working with children, unfortunately, is that we've taken away the sense of collaboration from our children. We've got so deep into this application and competition process that we sometimes forget how important it is for children to interact together. So I actually really thank Namrata for this. And the reason I've done this is also for that. Just the fact that all 3 of you all wanted to do this together when we could have actually offered one-on-one to each of you. So I hope I've taken out a little more time. And if after this meeting, you all still want to meet Amy or me to do a short, quick call, I will offer it. We'll figure the time, but I will offer it. Okay, so I'm going to quickly run you all through a brief presentation on what is profile building. The reason I do is because you are coming to me at grade 7, which we like to call the middle school. Largely, it's not the time to start thinking deep into applications, but it is definitely time to think, what do we want our children to do? What can they achieve in the next 3 or 4 years so that it kind of adds value to their leadership, their uniqueness, and the quality that they want to show or illustrate to the colleges when they're actually applying. So with that, I'm going to move to this presentation and then we'll talk a little about each of the children, and I'm very happy to answer questions thereafter. Ninad, can we move? Awesome. So, okay, I'm not being able to see the header. Who and when? Who needs it? Like I said, anyone from grade 6 to 8. there are different types of activities we speak about. We have an activity which comes under aligned and non-aligned initiatives. Aligned initiative is those that point towards the subjects you like to study or may intend to study. Non-aligned is everything else. So considering almost all of you all are swimmers, that becomes your non-aligned. But assuming you want to study biology or computers, then the coding you do, the biology classes that you may end up taking would be aligned. Okay. Students from 9 to 10, we encourage you to look at more academic exploration. What does that mean? That means we encourage you to do more offline, online courses, maybe a summer school, maybe a research program, and a work shadow that points towards your academic interest. Okay. Again, an example, if you're interested in coding and you work with, let's say, an AI or an MLT startup, which is artificial intelligence or machine learning tools, just, that becomes what we call a work shadow with academic exploration. Grade 11 is when we are looking at hands-on learning. What have you studied? How have you used the privilege of coming from great schools to benefit something or someone around you? Is what we call hands-on learning. And this is a very, very big turning point, children, that you all must understand. A lot of times we think giving money or fundraising is helping the community. And a lot of times parents or schools will turn around and tell you, you need to do some non-profit initiative, or like in our terms, we call it NGO. But that's not what colleges are looking for. What they're looking for is, if you've managed to study sciences for 4 years and you say you want to study it in college, how do you prove to the college that you actually want to use it for the betterment of the world or a society? So think about hands-on learning. What do you give back? So remember this, every time you're looking at a college 4 years forward is, what do you bring to the college and what does the college bring to you? So what do you bring to the college is a culmination of your profile. Okay, so when you say, I love baking, I love singing, I love swimming, and I want to be a coder because I feel that I'll be able to impact. And I'll give you an example here. One of my children, who's now in Stanford, she wanted to do coding. She wants to do computer science and AI, but she was also a baker. She became a sudden baker during the pandemic because she lived in a very large community and loads of people turned positive in the first, second, third round. So she thought a good way to make them happy was to start baking. And with that, she designed her own app where everyone in the building could actually go and say, hey, can I have 12 muffins or a cake or whatever? And she'd take orders and deliver and take money. As she worked in the profile building, we kept thinking, okay, what can you show which shows your interest to coding? So every time she turned around and say, Auntie, when I'm baking, I don't know how to price my products. Someone wants gluten-free, someone wants vegan, someone wants healthy. So then we came up with the idea about how about making a baking cost calculator. And that's what she ended up doing. And she created that app, and that was actually used worldwide by 40 different people. And she put it on an open source platform as well. So I'm just giving you a little example. So that's profile building. We connected her interest, her love, her passion for baking, her passion for coding into a project that she could show eventually to the college and say that this is how I used to benefit the small little community that I belong to. And this is how I will continue doing it. Okay, so this is one of the examples. Okay, let's move on, Inath. Okay, a little about us. I don't know if you all know us, but my name is Priyanka Bhartia. I've been a journalist by profession. I have worked with the Times of India Group, Lonely Planet, Anand Bazar Patrika. I have founded the company Admission Specialist, which is a not-for-profit, which essentially is B2B. I work largely with schools and colleges, host workshops, try and do events for them. As you can see, we're working across many countries now. One of the companies that I bought into India is AcceptU. So AcceptU is the world's leading virtual counseling company where all the counselors are former admissions officers. Admissions officers are essentially people who read your application and go tick or cross. So, I mean, I hate saying they reject you or they accept you, but they do reject your application or accept your application, right? So They are people who kind of start working with you in grade 11 to solidify your approach of essays, of colleges, of letters of recommendation, and so on. That's a slightly higher work after profile building begins. Okay. As you can see, we always deliver results. We've got great results year on year, but let's not spend more time knowing me now. Let's focus on the profile building. Ninad, next, please. Okay. Why? Simple. Too many choices. What are you supposed to do is very difficult to know. How do you bring depth into your passion? You know you like baking. How do you know how to use it? Okay. So I'm sticking to that baking and coding examples, and we can keep talking about more as I move on. Creating a unique passion project. So for example, one of my children loves sports. And every time he had to go for badminton, soccer, basketball competitions, he got really irritated because he was constantly carrying 4 different shoes. Then he came up with an idea of, why can't I have one sole for all my shoes? And I don't want to give away more because he's patent pending, but that became his passion project. That's what he's developing. And he got into the MIT summer program where he made a presentation. And this year is his application year. So we're really excited to see what's going to happen. But just again, giving you all examples of profile building, aligning it with your academics. Now, this is very important. A lot of children, especially in our country, end up doing too much. So we have a little of non-profit, we have a little of swimming, we have a little of intangible aspect like singing, we'll have a tangible aspect like robotics, but we're not aligning it with our academics. A larger chunk of times when we meet colleges, because we're all a part of the International Association, I'm sorry about that sound, but there's a building being broken down here and they've decided to, really bring out the sound. So sorry about that. But going back to aligning it with your academics, just recently I was traveling and I met the University of Chicago's dean, and he said, we'd rather see 3 activities, not more, but solid 3 activities. So imagine it like a straight line. Who you are, who you want to be, should be a clear straight line. Who you are a student who wants to study economics. You worked with a non-profit in rural India. You helped develop solar powering. You created a non-profit. You worked on a research paper on the aspects of India and economic development and why solar planning is essential. Straight line. So when you present this to the college, they know a strong, clear love for economics and what you probably will end up doing even after college. And that's what they bring to you. Okay. Collaborating, like what you all are doing today. A part of profile building should always be collaborate. So even if individuals are, let's say, working with us, we say, hey, why don't you speak with a senior to do
Hi.
this? Or why?
Sorry, can I interrupt you?
Yes, Gayatri.
So I just want to know, see, it's a little difficult for kids to decide what they want to do. And I'm not sure if a lot of kids even know, what they want to do even by the time probably they're 11th or 12th, maybe there's some idea. So how are such kids able to, figure out this alignment of projects vis-a-vis what they want to do? Because US, I think, gives a lot of freedom, right, to choose a variety of subjects, especially in the first year.
Absolutely. No, but very fair question. And I'm so glad that came up so much in the beginning itself. So yes, when I say align it with your academics, I'm not saying align it with what your majors are going to be or minors are going to be, but what you enjoy studying. Like more or less, even in the small form that I made the children fill up, each one of them clearly has written, I like this subject because of these reasons. I don't like this subject because of this reason. So even something as simple as that, if they have that clarity, then kind of start thinking about it. And that's why you start young, because in grade 8, maybe they say, I'd love to do computers. They start coding, they start building an app, and they're like, don't like it. Not something I enjoy. I would rather focus on doing math because I really enjoy math. So then the math competitions, so it's going to keep changing. There's no clear 2+2 route to profile building. It's a very evaluative, very developing and very qualitative process. But at the end of it, hopefully, either ways, the child comes out learning something and hopefully starts a project that can be built over the next 4 years. So it's something what we like to call depth against breadth. So if you do 7 different activities, then that's breadth. But if you do 3 different activities and you try and do it for 4 years, that's depth. Okay. And we will continue answering this question, Gayatri. It's not yet answered. But as we move on further, Ninad, can you move? Because I just want to finish this presentation and then kind of answer questions. Okay, what factors do you consider? Now, in short, when you're looking at profile building, and again, to answer the question from where you came, how do we know? I don't know if my daughter wants to be a computer scientist or not. What experience do you want? Now, you may want to learn how to make a pitch. You may learn how to actually have an interactive discussion with peers, or be in research, or have a technical knowledge developed. Similarly, what opportunities are available to you? Is it online, in person, school related, parental contact, summer school, weekend activities around your community? So we try and use all of that into understanding what possibly could be your profile building workshops or different ideas or initiatives. We'll continue with the factors on the next page. Ninad? Yeah, can you move on? We've done this, Ninad. Okay, how does it help? You find your likes, dislikes. Even if you start a project and say, oh my God, I hate computers, at least you know you dislike it now. Okay, understand what excites you. Develop your skills, learn time management, because when you work with us also, we'll send you the brochure, etc. later. It's once every quarter you're meeting Amy, the senior specialist, or you're meeting me, the advanced specialist. And what happens is we give assignments and the child has to report back with the assignments. Then choosing subjects of interest. In grade 9, the children will select some subjects. In grade 11, they'll select some. So in every little aspect, profile building kind of comes handy. And then using it to eventually find your passion project. My favorite term. I really, really hope that every child eventually finds their passion project, because that's how they can demonstrate their leadership, their passion, their qualities and uniqueness to the colleges. And why just to the colleges? To any aspect, even to themselves as they develop over the next 4 years. Ninad, I think we're at the end now. Okay, so this is a little about our package, and we could discuss this later, but
Priyanka, can I come in?
yes, yes.
Would you be, I mean, this is good. I'm sure, Navya, Alina, and Shri, what would be helpful, to be honest, is if you can walk us through, say, a couple of profiles, one good and one bad, over the course of your, I don't know, I call it venture or this profile building stuff that you have been running for.
Oh,
I guess,
absolutely. Actually, you will, when you get the brochure, there will be, I think, 4 or 5 case studies there. They're obviously good case studies. They're not the bad case studies, because these are the children who got into the best of colleges and they worked with us over whatever 2 or 3 years to reach
Sorry,
what they did.
No, I understand. Case studies is good, but what would be very helpful, to be honest, is some kind of coming from you, like how you walk through this planning and development, taking, say, example A and example B, or case A and case B, where case A did blah 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 and reached where she reached or he reached, and case
Yeah.
B where they did go through your program, but where things didn't work out for many reasons, and the student couldn't reach his or her goals that was set out at the beginning of the program, so that they get a real sense of, because frankly speaking, with currently with their activities, whether you call it going to the school, managing the logistics, swim, I don't know, singing, dancing, whatever else these girls are doing, uh, doing one more activity is a commitment, not just our commitment, but we can commit, but
I
these
agree.
kids are
I
right
agree.
now,
They
they're
do
doing too
seem
many
very
things.
action-packed. So, Sandeep, to answer your question, I mean, the successful cases are off the bat. They're all there. You all will go through it. I've spoken about one Stanford kid. I've spoken about the Cornell, University of Chicago, London School of Economics boy who actually did that nonprofit. To think of someone, Ninad, we can shut the presentation so that way we can just focus on each other. Perfect. Now, to think of the cases that went wrong is a very difficult one, but I will like to speak about one child that comes straight in my mind without naming any names. So this particular child was very interested in writing, and turns out that she wanted to study psychology. So we started encouraging her to look at the murder genre of writing, but with a psychological thriller-based aspect. And she started the stories. She wrote 2 different stories, and she became a part of a book club. We had an author read the stories, etc. But then what happened was that no one's going to read one story. So that went into the editorial of a school magazine, and it was like, okay, wow. But the point was she had to write a book or she had to continue a blog with her articles, which didn't happen. So consistency is a very big part of profile building. I think if I have to pick up one aspect of what goes wrong in profile building is this, that we come up with an idea, we'll give you an idea, and you're really excited, and children get very excited to say, oh, of course we can do it. And they'll do it today, but they can't do it 6 months later or 4 months later because exams come in or swimming competitions come in. So, Sandeep, you're absolutely, time's a commitment here. I'm not saying it's crazy commitment, but it is a commitment, because at the end of the day, Amy and I will put out our time to do our research, and we expect you to do a certain amount of assignments as well. So, with profile building comes that time commitment. And largely, I think by the time children are in grade 9 is when they kind of understand time management and can focus on giving this an X amount of hours a week, maybe 2 hours a week, maybe 6 hours a month. So that's one case that comes right to my mind. The second case that comes to my mind is actually a student who did get into Carnegie Mellon, but she was a national level swimmer. Tried for the international swimming as well, and I don't think she won it, but she participated in the international swimming for a while. She wanted to do computer science and business, and we were very keen for her to. She always wanted to understand what is the engineering behind each stroke. So she wanted to study the movement of strokes via the computers. So she wanted to see if we can put a pattern of 50 different videos of one particular swimmer and see if there is a way where the Google or the AI tool tells you that based on all of this arm strength seems the strongest, and therefore this stroke seems the strongest. But she could never really do it. She did start her research. She did manage to write the paper with a UCLA faculty, which was sent to Carnegie Mellon. We're lucky she got in because she was an outstanding student. She was at her time, it was 2400, the SAT. So she got 2380 on her SAT. She did very well in her academics, etc. But it's just that, again, a case where the profile building could have fallen really flat. So I'm hoping, Sandeep, I've given those examples as well. I'll give you an example of a very successful student. She left for Wharton last year in September, started very young with us, and very strong feminist values. Like, she was very clear, why do women always get the raw end? Doesn't look in this meeting with all women and one Sandeep and one Ninad. But the truth is, she felt very strong. She came from a very conservative background. And it was always the case in her house that her grandfather would sit first, her father, her brothers. And it really bothered her. And she started doing everything that was told to her that women can't do. And as she moved along, she started teaching younger girls. She started teaching them business skilling, upskilling, talking, presenting themselves. And then the pandemic broke down and she couldn't teach them anymore. So she literally stood outside the Reliance corporate headquarters saying, give me your secondhand smartphones. She wrote 20 letters to them, stood out. They got so frustrated with this young 16-year-old sitting, outside on a lockdown day. So they gave her some 40, 50 phones. She and her mom and dad drove to those women's homes, gave them the phone, and she started her classes online. Then during the pandemic, she filed for her own nonprofit, which actually successfully happened. She won the Diana Award. We nominated her for that. And sure enough, she got into Wharton for, she wants to study the business of nonprofit.
Yeah, that's interesting. No, I look.
Examples.
That's
Otherwise, Sandeep, it's very tough for me to now give you examples of children who didn't succeed, because that's not our aim. We are hoping children do succeed. And in my mind, every child succeeds.
right. No, that's interesting. It's just what I always wonder, and because my son has gone through this, he's already at a university,
Mhm.
and the challenge that these kids face by the time they are in grade 10 onwards,
Yeah.
including grade 10,
Yeah.
the time is very limited. As they say,
Always.
time is money. And
Yeah.
when you're already doing, state level competitions or doing XYZ, you could be moving up in your grades uh, for everything else, piano and all. So, it's just time becomes, and then how do you kind
But
of
Sandeep,
help
if
these kids
someone's
to excel?
already, if someone's already focusing on their grades and focusing on their competitions and doing well with swimming or whatever other activity, then why do you need anything more? That's enough. The problem arises is when children have nothing or they have too much happening.
Right.
So I think the topic here is not that does every child have to go through profile building. The topic here is, if at all you have to do profile building, what is the value add that it brings? But I hear you, Sandeep, because I have gone through series profile and I realize what you mean. It's heavy, and she's grade 7. So, obviously, as she moves to grade 9 and 10, either she's going to have to give up a couple of activities or learn better time management, or somewhere she ends up compromising on her health, on her grades or something. So,
Yeah.
I hear you if you say, look, I don't know if I really want her to take on something more. Totally get it. From my side, I'm absolutely happy if children as young as them don't come to me. I'm happier. But I'm equally happy if children like them, not in grade 7, but in grade 8 and 9, come to us and we find them one passion project which kind of defines their leadership and they can work on it. So, which is why it's a yearly package, because I don't think they're too
No, I
young to
understand.
commit.
I'll just take last 10 seconds because then Gayatri, Namrata, and Priya can talk. Uh, you know, uh, these three girls, they're good friends, and they were all three of us were they spent about 3-4 days during holidays couple of weeks ago, and I was telling them, hey girls, why don't you do something which can make an impact? Some of you guys are doing coding, some of you are doing you're good in X, good in writing, good in blah blah blah. Think of some idea and think of maybe create a small venture, nothing big, but something that can make an impact. But anyway, I leave on that. Let
It
the
is,
limited time, I leave it to other people to
it's
talk.
exactly true. And truly, I mean, hats off, the children bring a lot of talent. Now, I'm done with my presentation. Would you all like to ask me questions, or should I take the next few minutes to kind of do a little short, I like to call it what I liked about the girls. I mean, they took a lot of efforts to fill up this form for me. So I like to talk about what I liked about it, what I felt about it. If y'all are okay about it, I'll do that. Else I'll go into questions. Up to y'all. I should go ahead with it. Okay, awesome. So I have them in no particular order, but the way I read the forms. I'm going to start with, let me just minimize this so I can see all. Okay, so I have Sri here. Sri, I hear you love studying geography, which is really interesting because there are very few people who talk about geography. And geography is a very interesting worldwide aspect. Like you've said, you like fact gathering. Now, when you say you like analysis, you like fact gathering, you like watching a documentary, researching, I am seeing your ability to take math and research. And definitely, I don't know if you've ever been introduced to the geographical or the geophilosophy or geopolitics or even geo environment. It would be interesting to see it. What really excited me is you said you like to see how math connects to everything, whether it's music or baking or even art. And I go back to what your dad said. Math has a very strong connect to everything. And you will not believe it, but what I've written here is there a possibility to start a small company where you kind of introduce, and this is really interesting, what young children do is how alternately they present music, baking, art. So when you, and I'll tell you about one of my children who's now studying at the Berklee School of Music, and he started playing the piano in his community during the pandemic. So he would just put a mic so that everyone could enjoy. And then he started taking references and playing for them. And then he made his own little music production company after going to Berklee as well, where he said there's so many different genres of music from different cultures of the world. And he brought that together. So geography has a lot to do with cultures. And your answer, Sri, for you remember the pictures? So one of the pictures clearly points towards racism. Do you remember that? It says, I am trash, I am white. Do you remember those pictures? Sri?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so you gave a very beautiful answer. If I'm allowed to read it, can I?
Yeah, sure.
So she really beautifully speaks about how pictures have a common link of stereotyping. And I love that because she used a very strong word of stereotyping. She's actually been able to bring down media biases down to race, religion, gender, culture. And stereotyping, she says, is reducing the person to that one aspect of his or her identity. However, the truth is that there's so many multifaceted aspects of them. And why are we bringing it down to their physical appearance or the background? Very powerful answer, a very powerful activist answer as well. Now, someone like this who understands different cultures and likes geography can actually use that to talk about discriminations, the prejudices that we go through, the biases that we go through. And she speaks, and I am quoting her. One of the biggest examples of what hate can do is killing of 6 million Jews during the Holocaust. I have highlighted this in green and red and put an exclamation because I don't know any grade 7 children. And I am a massive history student, massive literature student. She continues to speak about Taliban oppressing Afghani women. Look at the way she has managed to bring different cultures, different parts of the world into one simple aspect of stereotype. Here's an example of someone who would have been a phenomenal activist. And I'm assuming she likes baking, art, because when she speaks about her extracurriculars, she talks about singing, swimming, coding, and debating, which is very different from music, baking, and art. So I don't know how much this girl is doing.
No, I do enjoy music, baking, and art, but like I don't do it as seriously as I do those other ones.
The
But
other
music,
ones.
yeah,
That's
music.
a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot because I mean, music, baking, art, singing, swimming, coding, debating. That's 7+ studies, So that's a lot.
No, but baking is like,
She's left it.
yeah, I don't really do it much anymore.
Baking is out.
Okay, that's fine. And that's absolutely fine. You'll find a lot of new things. You'll give up a lot of new things. Debating is something I don't want you to leave, love, because you have a voice. You have a clarity in your voice. You do your homework before you do talking. So while I don't want you to go to the model UN way, I'd love you to go the formal debate route. So you have these international speech and debate societies of India, international. Try and look at that. Okay, so that's really nice. So these are some of your answers which I wanted to highlight and bring it out. Navya, I'm going to move on to you. And your answer I like the sciences more on biology, as understanding the reason behind a reaction or just how our world, works is something that fascinates me immensely. And I'm deeply integrated, intrigued by it. Then you speak about music and how you say music is like another language for me. Sometimes that I feel very comfortable to speak. The use of sounds, creating them, and actually feeling the character of the piece, what I play, is what I love the most about music. My God. Without knowing you, Navya, I can say that your intangible strengths, the way you visualize something is so sensitive. With your love for biology, with your love for music, with your love for design, I am almost, and I sound so stereotyping you in Sri's words, but I hope you will eventually consider a subject called psychology, or at least explore it. Okay. The way you describe music is therapeutic, and a lot of people need to understand that. I also wonder, because you're a swimmer, how important do you realize is body and nutrition and the ability to heal the body before it can go into a new challenge? And I know you're a violin, I know all of y'all are into coding. So that was really beautiful. You also speak about your violin so beautifully. I'm a writer. So in my mind, the violin literally became a friend of yours. I gave it that personality and that aura. And that's because of the way you wrote it, right? To get in the character. So for you, music is character. For you, music is a story. And I can see that. But what I love is the way you move from your violin into your coding, where you instantly start talking about HTML and software and GitHub. So all of y'all have the ability to bring it down to coding, to computers. So if y'all actually do end up designing an app or designing a platform, which is eventually to use, which is about healing. And healing can be in so many different ways. It could be writing, it could be music, it could be baking, it could be swimming. And if you all could actually help people, and because you all are so mature, I am going to feel free to say this. Year on year before the pandemic, we always got about 5 to 10 children from schools who spoke about, they are going through a mentally tough time of their lives. But after the pandemic, I am going to tell you that this number has multiplied by into 5 sometimes, or even more. And this is happening because somewhere they were lost in a world of a concrete home with just their parents and nobody else. And then eventually, when they were thrown out, it was thrown to the world of board exams and finals and too much to do. And they literally lost the luster to heal themselves or to find themselves. So I really feel that all of you would do a beautiful job. Navya, your answer on the picture where the man's carrying the earth on his shoulders. Do you remember that? The environment one? And I asked you, what do you feel? And you said, this makes me feel both guilty and urges me to change my lifestyle a little. Love it. You're not saying we should change it, the world should change it. You are telling me I should change it. Love it. You feel guilty about the fact that I don't always make environmentally friendly choices in my daily life. I do take some initiatives to walk to places or being a vegetarian, but there's so much more I could have done. If one little picture could make you think like that, I'm very impressed. With the right mentor, how much more impact you could do, and you should definitely look at environment beta. If this is something you already feel, then you must. I also liked your answer where you said, I'd like to help my nanny's daughter by teaching some skills to her. Please start right away, Navya. Even if you teach her 1 page 1 week, you will have an impact that you can't think of today. So definitely start it. I'm going to move to Elena now. Okay, Elena, before I knew you want to write, I could sense you are a writer. And that's incredible. And that's what, if I may say so, and colleges say this every year, show us, don't tell us. Show us who you are. Don't tell us who you are. Okay, you've done that. And I will read why. She says the studies, subjects I love are science, history, English, and Spanish. Science because, well, I simply love the subject with an exclamation. I find that understanding how our world works and then connecting the concepts we learn in class to real life is fascinating. So I love the way she uses her adverbs and adjectives. All the creative and unique experiments performed in class not only demonstrate the beauty of the universe, but also pose more questions and theories in my mind. Somehow, I feel like science teaches me that all nature works in balance. Now, look at how she's got poetry into science. And even just reading this, I started smiling. So, I'm a writer, Alina. I've written a couple of books. I do a lot of writing workshops. I'm just recently going to be going to Oxford for a workshop as well. So, it's very, obviously, it's very easy to understand someone who can grow up to be a writer. Then you say, moving on. So even as she's writing, it's as though she's speaking. She has a flow of words, which is a natural for her. And then she speaks about English, and then she talks about human behaviors and the type of people around her. I also may be the world's biggest bookworm. Alina, actually, I think I'll beat you. We'll do a comparison. I have been banned from buying more books on my Kindle because last 2 months, I bought 12 books already. Current favorite that I'm reading is all partition related books. So it's crazy how much I read, and I don't know where I get the time. So I might be competing with you there. And she says in brackets, reading a book is part of my daily routine. So it's how she uses her brackets, her exclamations, her prepositions, her adjectives. And then she speaks about her passion for history. So this one definitely is what I'd love to call a liberal arts student. Clearly, she should go to one of the small liberal art colleges like a Pomona or an Amherst, and she's really going to enjoy it. Of course, she speaks about swimming, and she speaks about being, I've been accustomed to the water since I was, in brackets, I think, question mark, 5 years old. Okay, swimming is a part of me, and then lots of pretty brackets that she's used. Okay, she now turns around and says, even though sports is not exactly my thing, swimming is just a completely different matter. Very strong, very powerful line. And I love the way she goes on to describe it. There's a lot she writes because she's a writer. Then there's a picture which actually shows a young girl sitting with lots of worries around her. I'm sure you all know the pictures I'm talking about. And she starts by saying, that's the picture I picked up for you, Alina. I strongly disagree with this picture. The girl is clearly facing a lot of overwhelming worries, and it's getting very anxious. The way the statements around her depict all her fears and problems clearly indicate what she's struggling with. It looks as though she's under loads of pressure and is about to have a breakdown. Very mature thinking. And I say hats off to you parents, because with the amount your children are doing, they have managed to understand where they are happy, they're fine, they found their safe space, and where they know they're not going to be in a safe space. And hats off to you parents for doing that. Okay. She goes on to talk about look for the silver lining in every situation. Very positive, very optimistic answers come around here. And something lastly that I'll say, which was very, very sweet. If I could help someone and make them happy, it would be my mom. Mothers are basically the backbone to all children. No matter what, my mother has always loved me and treated with me affection and kindness. So she says a little more, and I would like to keep that personal because it's a very beautiful answer. But she says that, she's always bubbling with laughter and she's ready to share that laughter with me. And these little moments of conversations took me into your lives. And I think that's what a conversation should do. That's what a form should do. That's what any discussion or any workshop or anything should do. It's not about building something tangible. It's sometimes just learning something intangible. And I really thank you 3 girls for giving me such a beautiful memory of the 3 of you. I haven't met you all. I don't know if I'll be meeting you all, but I know that I will remember you through your forms. And that's what applications are. You want wherever you apply, whichever college you want to go, you want that admissions officer to go back home and share with his or her spouse or partner that, I read this and this is what that one line is all they take away. They read 35,000 applications. They take one line of your life with them. What will that one line be is what defines your application. So thank you, children. I wanted to take this little time to do this with you all because I really enjoyed reading your forms. I could have done at least 1-2 hours more with each one of you. But in respect of time, let's move to questions. Yeah, you all can unmute yourselves and start questions. Fire away.
So hi. How much of an ECA is, I think you talked about building a storyline where, things kind of, match. So, it's linked to your academics and your extracurriculars. And the way at least I see it is that given that I don't think either of the girls want to really go into any full-time swimming or full-time physical education related careers. I'm just wondering, whether, how much of an emphasis we should continue to play on sports or, or should we, try and first figure out, what subjects or we just give them a free hand now for the next 2 years and tell them, do whatever you like, everything you like in terms of activities.
My honest answer, I would always say give them free hand, but teach them time management. Be very careful. There's no point taking on so much that your academic struggles or that you don't have time to enjoy. So if any of them like reading or writing or music, if they start giving up on that because swimming or basketball or something else is taking up more time, that's not effective time management. But yes, if you ask me, I think grade 7 and 8 is not time to go and sign with any counselors. And I've been a parent, so I'm telling you very openly and honestly, it's a time for children to discover who they are, find who they are. But again, time management is something that will be super critical. And you never know, maybe they're swimming today, maybe they're not swimming tomorrow. But what happens with sport is there's a certain amount of discipline that sets in. And there's a certain amount of sport that they'll always keep going back to. And that adds value. That will always add value. And I've seen so many of my children who said that we may not, obviously they can't go into high level sports in colleges, but they want to do intramural sports. And they eventually find some of them want to do nutrition, some want to do therapy, some want to do psychology, but they eventually find their way into something with sports. So you never know where they might use sports in coding, sports in music, something may come up. So, as long as they're happy doing it, let them do it.
Hi, Priyanka.
Hi.
Priyanka, I wanted to understand what's the right time to start for them with CAS in terms of giving back to society. Is it the earlier it is better, or they should wait till 8, 9, 10?
Here's what I think. Giving back to the society should be as much a part of our lives as breathing is. So even if once a year, once a month, once a quarter, there's something that the children are asked, what would you like to do? Like one of the questions I asked in the form is, who would you like to help? And they all came up with different answers, right? But I obviously couldn't select everyone's answer, so I just randomly picked on a couple of things. But those are the questions they should be asked every time. Like one of them said that I want to help my nanny. I want to help my nanny's child. Now that means she feels that there's a need, there's a discrimination, there's a difference, and she wants to kind of remove that discrimination or borders. And that's fine. That's great. Say, sure, come. What do you want to teach? You want to teach English? You want to teach art? Start with one nanny's child. Turns out in your community, you'll find 5 nanny's children. All of y'all will have. Then, and that's fine. Like I live in a community where 3 of my children were applying from here. And they started downstairs. We have a little yoga room. And they started teaching art to the watchman's children. And what turned out from 4 children to 40 children to 70 children, they finally had to take up a class. They had to kind of, go to YWCA and start classes there. But it's just so beautiful that It passed on. When the children moved to college, their brothers, sisters did it. When they moved on, someone else came or their parents came, and that's still continuing. So it's been 6 years, but it's still continuing. So giving back to society is something that needs to be done all the time. And this is very big for any college as well. But giving back to society based on what your interests are. I like coding. I want to use computers to benefit to the society. I think comes closer to grade 10.
Okay.
I'm just
they
giving a
need to
random
be-
example.
Yeah. So do they need to, join an organization or something at that when you come to grade 10, 11, because they say, recommendation letter at that point is also important, or they can do as a freelancer?
So to understand letters of recommendation, are all of them looking to apply to US generally, or what are your country preferences? US first three. Okay. Elena? Navya, what are you all thinking? What do you think, Elena? And that's fine. No one's holding you to it.
I'm fine with anything.
What is she saying? I'm sorry, I can't hear you, darling.
You have to be loud.
I don't have a preference.
She said that. She said that's one of her weakness. I remember that answer, Alina. Which country do you think you'll be looking? Do you want to leave India to study for undergrad or not?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay. Navya, what about you?
I honestly don't know much about like the difference between.
It's very soon to think, right? So, which is the reason why I would almost tell you, mums, that don't start overthinking the process of application now. Because if we go into the process, we sometimes lose the purpose of the process. And the purpose of the process is to grow, to build, to lead, to learn. So let's enjoy the process. But to answer your question, if you're looking at US, there are 4 letters of recommendation. 3 go from your school. Only one's allowed to be an external letter of recommendation. So don't overthink that one letter. If they are into sports, then the coach can write it. If they do a work shadow, if they continue working with one specific nonprofit, then they can write it. And if that external letter doesn't go also, colleges don't care because that's not mandatory. Perfect. Children, do you all have questions? Why? I like answering children's questions so much more. You can ask me random things also. You don't have to ask me serious questions about applications in colleges and profile. You can ask me random questions as well. You can ask me why I did this, what am I reading today, anything. Whatever you all feel like answering. Don't ask me if I like coding. The answer is a clear no. I was a swimmer though. I was swimming in my school. I was selected for state level, but at my time in Calcutta, that's the city I grew up in, we were put into a lake called the Poddopukur Lake to swim in. And I got such a bad infection because there was a lot of internal growth there. And I think for 1 month, I couldn't hear. I got a ear infection. I gave up swimming after that. I was too scared. I still love swimming, but I didn't do competitive swimming anymore. Since the kids are not asking. Yes, Sri, thank you for asking me something.
I don't know, random question. Have you read Persepolis? Persepolis.
Persepolis, yes. Why are you asking me
I was
that?
asking a random question.
I don't know, you asked a random
I
question.
told her, ask me random questions. She did it.
Ask your question loud.
I did.
She didn't hear.
Okay, have you read this book? This is what
Which
I'm
one?
reading.
Show me the book. Persepolis, I must have read it earlier, several years ago, but it's a fascinating book. After
Yeah.
you read this, I will send you a couple of questions. So I run book clubs for schools and for small groups. And I have very interesting questions I ask at the end of the book. So I'll send you some interesting questions. Ask yourself. If your mom and dad read the book, then you all can all do that together on a Sunday.
Okay.
It's a good book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it seems Navya is ready for the book. No? You were jumping, so I thought maybe you're ready.
I just
Yeah,
have,
she did that whole naughty movement.
I just have a habit of moving.
Okay. Now, so that's an interesting thing. Now, let me tell you it's very interesting what colleges expect you to write. It's really fascinating. One of their topics is, tell us what, if there was some way to define your identity in an essay of 650 words, what do you think it would be and how has it impacted your life? And one of my children wrote about this, that, she's like a spring on haywire. And she described it so well because she never sits in place. So she's just constantly jumping, jumping, jumping. And then eventually she speaks about how that kind of introduced her to psychology and how thus psychology impacted her life and she chose it to be her career. Fascinating story. And then there was another girl who wrote about juggling. So she used to get major anxiety issues. So one of her doctors or someone told her, start juggling because it really builds your concentration. She was also minor ADHD. So she started juggling and she speaks about her essay of juggling and what she learned from it. Very, very cute essay, very funny essay because of the things she dropped, the scolding she got, but little, very quirky little essays that come into life. So it's good. You should know the things, Navya, that you are this jumpy jack here and with a noddy head as well. Any questions for me? Alina,
Just a
Navya.
random comment that I've been so transfixed by the mighty behind you that I've been looking more at.
So, I would like to tell you that's not a Paresh Maiti, that's a Jagannath Paul.
Really so similar.
So startlingly. And if you ever come to my house, if you live in Bombay, that's one painting. And my
About to say that
major
for the first time you are wrong.
Oh, really? Oh, she's
Very
into
good.
painting. I'm crazy. And you know what happened recently? I got to go to an art connoisseur's house, and you will not believe he not only has 78 paintings of the most incredible artists in his house, but he has NFT art. And he has those, what do you call them, digital frames of the NFT art. And I was so excited because he owns a signed Banksy. Do you guys know Banksy? Do you know Banksy? Okay.
Oh yes.
Okay,
Oh,
Priya. He has a signed
Yeah, of course.
Banksy of,
Very
and
interesting, right? What happened when
right?
he destroyed the painting?
So, and which one he has? He has Love is in the Air. So this is really funny, girls. Love is in the Air sounds romantic, right? What he's actually doing is he's made little garbage pieces of heart shape and throwing it in the air like love is in the air. He's a mystery artist. No one knows whether it was a he or she for a long time. Only knew that we know is a Brit-based artist, and he works on provocative themes. He works on political and racist agendas and leaves behind art images on walls and papers. And he has an agent who does the work. But now apparently there's a whole lot of people who know who Banksy is. But yeah, I went for the Banksy, so I'm greatly into art. So Priya, one of the things that I have always done with my child, and that when he went to U Chicago, it really helped him. University of Chicago is the number one or the number two most rigorous program in the world. It ties this place with Columbia. And the reason it is because they have to do something called a core curriculum. A core curriculum means you have to study everything. The college says you're too young to know, and this is to go back to you, Gayatri. You're too young to know what you want to study. Study everything, which means you have to do anthropology, history, languages, dance, theater. And the reason I think my boy managed is because when he was 4, every trip, and we had to travel a lot on work, every trip, every day was a museum. And by the time he became 9, I used to leave him in museums alone and go for my meetings because I knew he'll spend 4 hours there. And he literally, his essays were about this. His one essay was about currency because he wanted to study economics. So because he travels so much with us, he designed his own game of currency. He used to calculate currency, like, oh, this currency should be this much. And he was constantly he was really worried why Kenya's currency shilling is not strong, because he was like, they have animals. Why are they not strong? And that, that perspective comes into his essays. But what I'm trying to say is that profile building is nothing but experiences. So as long as you're sharing experiences with your kids, if they're already learning about Mighties and Banksies in their homes or whatever, then I want you to know that if only y'all could write and document these are what is going to get profile builded. There's nothing, you don't need me. But Priya, I have incredible paintings in my house. I have a Siddharth Shingare, I have Jagannath Pauls, I have Asit Sarkars, I have Gurjala, I have Thota Vaikuntham, and Paresh Maiti, my mother is not giving it to me, but I assure you I will take it from her. We are Calcutta. Calcutta is very into art and music.
True. So that's the thing. Shri and I were planning to do something together, but we can't find the time. We both want to learn mural painting, Kerala, the wall one. You know, the mural art on the walls.
Take a summer, find 10 days, do it.
They have something here. So there's they also have the pitchwai and they have the murals. But mural is much more intricate and it's almost like meditative, you know.
Yeah.
So we've gone and explored it. We have to find it. Okay.
I have a pitchwai in my, you know, we have a Bikaner home, so obviously it's full of pitchwais.
Namrata.
Why is Namrata laughing? Because she's got a
she
home
has
in
a beautiful-
Bikaner.
I had spent 1 year hunting for a pitchwai.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you go to Bikaner?
Yeah, we are from Bikaner.
So, you know, Bikaner mein, do you remember that palace?
Yeah.
So at that palace, they have awareness sessions. They call people who actually talk about these things.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
You can excuse yourself.
Oh, you're busy? Shri, you need to go for a class?
No, she just needs to swim.
Yeah.
Where do you swim? One of you is from Dubai or somewhere, right? Which one?
Me.
Okay, got it. Yeah. I saw what you don't love.
Yeah, Arabic.
But it's such a graceful language. It's so beautiful. If you would look at it as art, I think you'll start enjoying it more.
The funny thing is, she actually does it really well. She's, you know, among the top of the club, but she hates it almost. And the sir wanted to put her up a level and she said no.
That's fine. I have lots of kids who told me, Auntie, when they came for some word competition, they said we deliberately messed it. And I'm like, why? I think otherwise Mama would push us. Yeah, forget it.
I'm like, Arabic, it's okay. I don't mind if you don't want.
So do you all live in Dubai?
Yes.
I think I'll be coming next month.
Oh, is it? Okay, definitely.
I come to Dubai very often. One, because of my husband. Two, also I work with a couple of schools.
Okay. Okay, then maybe we can meet up here.
100%. We'll try and catch up for a coffee.
Priyanka,
Yes,
just
Sandeep.
a quick question.
No.
You're based out of Mumbai and your entire team is also based out of Mumbai?
So the AcceptU team is all American based, actually. A lot of them kind of move around to Africa and Canada and blah, blah, blah. But the profile building team, I would like to say, is Amy is a Canadian who's worked in UK, but now moved to India for a couple of years, but she's going back to US soon in like 2 years. I'm definitely in Mumbai, I hope. My son's though in Chicago. So I do kind of do 3 months in US and I travel a lot.
Sorry, did you say your son is in U Chicago?
He studied at U Chicago, his undergrad. Now he's working with BCG in Chicago.
Okay. I might want to connect one of my close friend's son is currently in the second year in U Chicago.
Okay.
Maybe we should connect the boys. Just it's a good idea since we have met you now.
Definitely. Happily. I have a lot of kids at U Chicago. Definitely. No problem at all.
Right. Super.
So, Elena, you haven't said anything. Anything you want to tell me? You said you want to talk a little more, remember? Tell me what you did today. What was your day like today?
I went to school.
Wow. I'm fascinated. Something exciting happened in school, something unusual.
No, I had a slight cold.
Oh.
So
But are you also going swimming now?
tomorrow, yeah, I may go.
So the cold doesn't escape you from the swim.
No, not always.
So Navya and Elena wake up at 4 a.m. 4 days a week. to go for swimming, and one day at 5 a.m. That's how committed they are.
And so I do want to tell you, my son was an international table tennis player.
Oh,
He went to the international twice. I know, and he was a founder of a non-profit, and he was the house captain and school head boy. I know this life, sweetie. I have woken up with him every single day. So I know this life. And here's what I will tell you all, beta. There will be a time when you'll question yourself, because there'll be people around you who'll be preening and prancing and make-upping and Instagramming and all of that. And you'll be like, was it even worth it? Always remember one thing. It is very worth it. Very, very worth it. All the hard work that you put in today, all the discipline and the time that you put in today, tomorrow you will thank yourselves, your parents, your family for the commitment you all have driven today. Every year we ask children, why did you do well in college? Every year they turn around and say, because we had a strong drive towards our sports and our academics. It's a 10 percentile, top 10%. And I know I sound horrible, but it's the truth. The top 10 percentile attracts the top 10 percentile in everything in life. Okay, so what you're doing today is making you get into that top 10 percentile, and it's going to be very handy. Okay, so if no one's told you this, if you all are frustrated sometimes, call me, message me, WhatsApp me, and we'll chat about it. Okay. We completely ignored Hitesh. Hitesh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize you had joined.
Good evening.
I am so sorry.
You were so excited with the girls and so many stories I was listening to.
Yep,
Superb.
I agree.
Best for the last.
The joke actually goes with me is I have to attend all my children's weddings, so which is why I have to really take care of my health and fitness. But the joke also goes is I remember all my children's name, all their secrets, all their essays. Ask me their parents' names. Blank. So Hitesh, please excuse me. It's part Alzheimer's, I'd like to say.
No, Priyanka, it's
Selected, yeah.
okay. You don't have to worry that Hitesh was there in the end, because when you said only one father has joined, Namrata must have sent a WhatsApp with a very strong message. And hence
Yeah.
he's on this call.
So which is why he was the silent observer of the whole call. Hitesh,
Yeah,
were you
he-
banging on your laptop on the side and ignoring me completely?
No, I am actually listening deeply to, actually
Okay,
what
give me
Navya,
one comment. Give me one comment, I said. Come on, give me
No,
one
yeah,
case
Oh
study.
one
no, please
correction.
don't do that.
When
He'll be
when
fired
you
tonight.
read
Namrata
when
may
you
throw him
read
out.
Navya wanted to teach her nanny's daughter. It was not nanny, it was Nani's daughter.
Oh, it's
So
Nanny.
she wanted to give it back to her mom.
So,
So
Hitesh,
you're going to get it today, huh?
why are you getting me into trouble? You do
So
realize
now
eventually
you
you
know
all are all
why.
going to pay money
Now
to
you
me.
know
I'm
why I
okay.
was put on mute all this while.
Navya, you're going to be in serious trouble for your spelling mistakes.
I wrote it correctly.
Excuse me, Priyanka and everybody else. We have to leave. I have to drop her. So
No, absolutely.
it
In
was
fact,
very
I
nice.
have crossed my limit as well. I'm just chatting with you, and poor Ninad must be dying to get off now. Stop talking, wasting my
So,
time. So I hope you all
thank
had
you
a
for your
great
time.
time. Children, loved it. Namrata, thank you so much for organizing this. It's very good that you all are getting conscious. I think the kids are doing fine. I don't think you all need any packages at this point of time.
No, it was absolutely amazing. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Good
Priyanka.
night.
But we'll be in
Bye-bye.
touch.
Yes, thank you.
We'll be in touch
Absolutely.
and we'll see what we can do anyways. Thank you.
No hurries. Bye-bye.
Bye.